My friends, take a moment. Imagine a quiet morning in a small cafe. The rain taps softly on the window. A spoon turns in a warm cup. Someone near you smiles and says, "Look, your shoe is open." Imagine you look down. Imagine the shoe is not open at all. Imagine the little laugh that comes next. Not cruel, not sharp, just small and friendly. Have you ever stopped to wonder why people do this on the first day of April? Where did it come from? Why is it everywhere? How did a tiny joke become a day on the calendar? Can you imagine a whole world agreeing for one day to be a little playful? And why do we enjoy a simple trick, even when we are the person being tricked? Here is the early twist, my friends. For most of history, April Fool's Day was not a big holiday with shops, cards, or bright signs. It was more like a whisper, a joke passed from one person to another, a laugh moving through streets, homes, schools, and newspapers. Today we will travel across time and across places to follow this strange little tradition in simple, clear English. Our first stop is Europe. Long ago, when spring arrived with mud on the road and fresh air in the fields, the cold season was ending. People opened doors, markets became louder, children ran outside again. Imagine a village after winter. Chickens walk near wooden houses, smoke rises from small fires, the sun feels new and people feel new too. In many old places, spring was a time for festivals. People wore masks, they sang, they played games. Sometimes they changed roles for a day. A quiet person could act loud. A poor person could dress like a king. A child could laugh at an adult, just a little. Why did people do this? Maybe because life was hard, work was heavy, food was not always as enough. The weather could be cruel, so when spring came, people needed a little light. Say it with me. A little joke. A little joke could make the day softer. A little joke could make a hard life feel less heavy. And that may be one root of April Fool's Day. We do not have every detail. Records are old, stories are mixed. But many people say the day grew from older spring games and playful customs. But there was a problem. A custom can live in a village. But how does it travel? How does one small laugh cross rivers, cities, and countries? Now let us travel to another chapter, to a time when calendars were changing. Calendars sound boring. I know. They are just boxes and numbers, right? But my friends, calendars can make trouble. Some accounts describe a famous idea. In parts of Europe, people once marked the new year, near spring. Later, more people began to follow January 1st as the start of the year. This change did not happen in one neat moment everywhere. It moved slowly. Some people heard the news late. Some people did not accept it. Some people maybe just forgot, and then came the joke. Imagine someone still celebrating the new year near the end of March or the start of April. Imagine a neighbor laughing and saying, "Oh, you are late." Imagine a paper fish on someone's back, or a silly message sent across the street. Was this the true beginning? We must be careful. History does not give us one clean answer. Some stories connect April Fool's Day to calendar change. Other stories point to older spring festivals. In simple words, the tradition may have many small roots, not one big root. Still, this idea is useful. It shows us something important. A joke often begins when people notice a gap. One person knows something, another person does not. For one short moment, the world turns upside down. Repeat after me. The world turns upside down. That is the secret door of many April jokes. You believe one thing, then suddenly you see the truth. Your face changes. The room changes. Everyone laughs. Not because someone is hurt, but because the mind jumps. But what makes a good joke? Is it the surprise? Is it the timing? Is it the safe feeling after the trick is over? Why do we laugh when the danger is not real? Why do we enjoy being fooled, but only a little? In the next chapter, we move to France, where one famous custom is often linked with this day. It is called April fish in French. That means a person may try to attach a paper fish to another person's back without them knowing. Imagine a narrow street. Imagine school children walking past stone walls. Imagine one child holding a paper fish, trying not to laugh. The fish sticks to a coat. The child runs away. The friends laugh softly. Can you imagine putting a fish on your teacher's back? Please, my friends, do not try this today unless your teacher has a very good sense of humor. Why a fish? Some people connect it to spring, when young fish were easy to catch, or when fishing seasons changed. Other people see it as a simple symbol of being caught, like a fish taking the bait. The fooled person takes the joke. Here is our first big turning point. The joke moves from general spring play into a special day with special forms. A paper fish, a false message, a small trick. The tradition begins to have a shape. Try this phrase, just for fun. That phrase matters. Just for fun. Not to harm, not to shame. Not to make someone feel small. The best April joke opens like a little door and then closes gently. Everyone should be able to smile after it. But there was another problem. A joke told in one town can fade. A paper fish can fall off a coat. A funny story can disappear by evening. How could April Fool's Day grow bigger and spread farther? To answer that, we must follow the roads of words. We must visit printing shops, busy streets, and later newspapers. We must watch jokes leave the mouth and enter the page. And as the page begins to travel, the small laugh of April begins to travel too. Now let us travel to the age of printed words. Imagine a small printing shop in an old city. The room smells of ink and paper. Metal letters sit in rows. A worker presses words onto a page, one sheet at a time. Before printing spread widely, a joke needed a voice. Someone had to tell it face to face. But printed pages could carry a joke farther. A funny story could move from one street to another. A false notice could appear in public. A silly report could reach people who had never met the person who made it. My friends, this was a big change. Imagine waking up and seeing a strange notice on a wall. Imagine reading that a very rare animal will appear in the market square. Imagine people walking there, curious and excited, only to find nothing but other curious people. Would you laugh? Would you feel foolish? Would you say, "Ah, they got me?" Or would you pretend you knew it was a joke all along? Many old April tricks worked like this. They sent people on foolish errands. A foolish errand means someone is asked to do a task that has no real purpose. A child might be sent to find a thing that does not exist. A young worker might be asked to bring a tool with a silly name. Say it with me, it does not exist. This kind of joke was easy to carry. It needed no rich house. It needed no special food. It needed no expensive gift. It only needed a person, a message, and a little surprise. That is one reason April Fool's Day could spread. Simple jokes are light, they travel well. But there was a problem. A joke can become too strong. If it makes someone afraid, angry, or deeply embarrassed, it stops being friendly. It stops being just for fun. So people learned a hidden rule. The trick should be small enough to forgive. It should end quickly. It should return the room to kindness. This is why many April jokes are about false news that is clearly silly, fake invitations, strange objects, or small surprises. Imagine a family kitchen in the morning. A mother says the salt has turned sweet. A father says the cat has learned to speak. A child opens a lunchbox and finds a toy bug near the bread. Everyone jumps, then everyone laughs. Can you imagine a cat giving a serious speech at breakfast? Maybe the cat would only say, "Feed me first." Now let us travel to Britain, where April jokes also became popular. Some accounts describe a day of tricks, often ending around midday in some places. After that, the person who keeps joking may become the fool. You should be careful because customs were different in different towns. But the idea is lovely. Even foolishness needs a clock. In simple words, the day had a limit. The game began. The game ended. This made the place safer. People knew the joke belonged to a special time. Repeat after me, the game has rules. Rules help people enjoy surprise. Think about a magic show. You know the magician is tricking your eyes, but you feel safe. You want the surprise. April Fool's Day works in a similar way. For one day, people allow a small door to open between truth and play. Here is our second turning point. April jokes move from local customs into public culture. Newspapers, shops, schools, and families begin to join. The joke is no longer only between two neighbors. It can be between a newspaper and a whole city. Imagine a newspaper on a breakfast table. The paper is folded beside toast and tea. A person reads a strange story with serious eyes. The story sounds almost possible, but not quite. That almost is important. A good April joke often stands on the edge of belief. Too boring and no one cares. Too wild and no one believes it. But almost possible? That is the sweet place. That is where the mind leans forward. Have you ever believed something for 3 seconds, then laughed at yourself? Have you ever told a friend, "Wait, really?" Have you ever felt your heart jump, then relax? That small jump is part of the fun. Try this phrase, "You got me." These 3 words are useful. They are friendly. They show that the joke is over. They also save face. Save face means to keep your dignity, or not feel too embarrassed. When we say, "You got me," we join the laugh. We are not outside the joke anymore. We are inside it. Now let us travel across the sea to places where people carried old customs with them. When families moved, they carried food, songs, language, stories, and small habits. They also carried jokes. April Fool's Day crossed borders in this way. It moved with letters, schools, books, newspapers, and travelers. Imagine a port city. Ships rest in gray water. People step onto land with bags, boxes, and memories. They bring recipes from home. They bring songs from home. And perhaps when April comes, they bring one little trick from home too. This is the full circle feeling, my friends. A joke born from spring play and village laughter leaves its old road. Then it returns in new clothing. It appears in new countries, new languages, and new homes. The shape changes, but the heart stays light. But there was a new problem. As the modern world grew, messages became faster. First came wider newspapers, then came radio, then television, then the internet. A small joke could now reach thousands, then millions, then almost everyone. What happens when a joke becomes that big? Can a friendly trick stay friendly when so many people see it? Can surprise still feel warm when it moves through a screen? In the next chapter, April Fool's Day enters the modern world. The joke becomes bigger, brighter, and sometimes stranger. Companies join, newsrooms join, friends send messages in seconds, and the old question returns. How do we fool someone but still keep kindness in the room? Now let us travel into the modern world. Imagine a living room in the middle of the 20th century. A radio sits on a table. Later, a television glows in the corner. Families listen, watch, and trust the calm voices that come from the machine. This created a new kind of April joke. The joke did not only come from a brother, a neighbor, or a school friend. It could come from a serious voice. It could come from a screen. It could look official. Imagine a newsreader speaking in a calm way. Imagine a strange story told with a straight face. Imagine people at home looking at each other and asking, "Is that true?" Why did these jokes work so well? Because modern media had power. Media means newspapers, radio, television, and the internet. In simple words, it is how people share information with many people at once. But there was a problem. When a joke comes from a big voice, it must be careful. If people feel scared, the joke fails. If people feel cheated in a painful way, the laugh disappears. So the best public April jokes learned to be playful, not cruel. They were strange enough to make people smile, but soft enough to feel safe. Say it with me. Keep it kind. That is a good rule for April Fool's Day. Keep it kind, keep it small, keep it safe. Then came another turning point, my friends. The internet changed the speed of jokes. Before, a joke might travel down one street. Then it might travel through a town by newspaper. But online, a joke can fly around the world before breakfast. Imagine opening your phone in the morning. Messages are waiting. A friend sends a photo. A company announces a silly new product. A website shows a strange headline. For a moment, you do not know what is real. Have you ever clicked something and then laughed? Have you ever seen a product so strange that you wanted it to be real? Have you ever thought, "This cannot be true," and then checked the date? Yes, my friends, the date is often the key. April 1st changes how we read the world. Try this phrase, check the date. This phrase is useful in life, not only in April. Check the date. Check the source. Source means where the information comes from. In simple words, ask, who is telling me this? That small habit protects us. April Fool's Day now lives in two worlds. In one world, it is still simple. A child hides a toy spider. A friend sends a funny message. Someone changes the sugar and salt, but hopefully not in a way that ruins breakfast. In the other world, it is large. Companies make fake ads. Websites make fake stories. Social media carries the joke everywhere. Imagine a small bakery putting a sign in the window. Invisible bread, very fresh. Imagine people stopping, smiling, and taking pictures. Imagine the baker inside, laughing quietly, while real bread warms the room. This is why people still love simple jokes. They do not need much. They do not need great skill. They only need timing, surprise, and a little kindness. They remind us that grown-up life does not have to be heavy all the time. But we must also remember the border. A joke has a border, like a small garden fence. Inside the fence, people laugh. Outside the fence, people may feel hurt. So a good April joke does not attack someone, spotty family, money, fear, or private life. It does not make a person feel alone. It invites them back into the laugh. Repeat after me, laugh together. That may be the real secret. April Fool's Day is not only about fooling people. It is about returning together after the surprise. First, there is belief, then there is surprise, then there is laughter. Then there is the warm moment when everyone knows the truth. Imagine two friends walking in a park. One points and says, "Look, a penguin." The other looks, sees only a pigeon, and laughs. For 1 second, the world had a penguin in it. That is not a bad gift. Can you imagine a penguin walking proudly through the park, looking for coffee? Maybe it would order iced coffee, of course, my friends. We began in a cafe with a small trick about a shoe. Then we traveled to old spring festivals, village roads, changing calendars, paper fish, printing shops, newspapers, ships, radio, television, and phones. The story moved across places, but it kept the same gentle heart. We do not have every detail about the first April Fool's Day. History gives us clues, not a perfect map. Records suggest different routes. Some accounts point to spring play. Others connect the day with calendar change. Many customs grew in different places, then mixed together over time. And maybe that is fitting. A day of tricks has a tricky history. It smiles, moves, hides, and appears again. But the meaning is clear enough. People need laughter. People need play. People need safe surprise. A small joke can open a window in an ordinary day. It can bring light into a kitchen, a classroom, a street, or a message on a phone. Try this phrase, "It made me smile." That is the best ending for a joke. Not "I won," not "you lost," just "it made me smile." The next time you see April 1st on a calendar, take a moment. The next time someone says something strange in the morning, take a moment. The next time you see a paper fish, a silly sign, or a strange message from a friend, remember the long journey behind that little laugh. A joke can travel farther than a ship. A smile can cross more borders than a map. And one playful day can remind us that life is not only work, worry, and serious faces. So, my friends, keep your eyes open. Check the date. Keep your jokes gentle. And if someone tells you your shoe is open, maybe look down slowly, smile first, and say, "Nice try."